As a hormonal and insecure teenager, I, like many others, was way too concerned with what other people thought of me. Many of us try our best to fit in and try to act normal in order to do so, but who's to say what normal actually is? I mean, take normal type Pokemon for example. Does this look normal to you?
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
These allegedly normal type Pokemon are just as weird as any of the rest of us, despite how hard they try to pretend that isn't the case. I intend on proving it by pushing them to their breaking point, through rigorous battle and a lengthy journey that leads us all the way to the top of Mount Silver. When you're pushed to your limits, that's when you reveal who you really are. Once I get some Pokeballs, I can start capturing some test subjects. Pete the Pidgey, Steve the Spearow, Olivia the Hoot Hoot, Ryan the Rattata, each one of them with a normal name and outward appearance. We'll see how long they can keep that up. Who knows, maybe it really is who they are. Maybe they aren't little weirdos like the rest of us. Someone who's going to have a much more difficult time of fooling me into believing that about them is Duncan the Dunsparce, whom I didn't realize was a female until after I named her. That one's on me. She gets a pass there. With a large test group assembled, it's finally time to start pushing them. First test is against Falkner, who's also got a few imposters on his squad. Duncan does pretty great damage with a rage, and after Pidgey lands a tackle, her rage builds and she gets the KO on the following turn. I see. Clearly her outward appearance is hiding a deep, hateful rage that brews underneath the surface. Perhaps fueled by her inability to be her true self at the expense of trying to fit in. Her rage isn't doing nearly as much to Pidgeotto, but she's able to put it to sleep with a yawn, then beats the bird to a pulp while it's asleep. It has become clear to me what Duncan's true nature really is. After seeing how successful my first test was, Professor Elm entrusts me with a Pokemon egg that will eventually hatch into another normal type. While I would love to see some of the others in action, Duncan is still full of anger and bullies her way into the front of the party in order to fight Bugsy. With a defense curl to start things off, she lulls Scyther into a false sense of security, then unleashes her fury like the crashing of 1,000 waves. It was a massacre.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds!
Well, maybe it's okay to hide your true nature a little bit once in a while, because Duncan is really starting to scare the shit out of everyone. I decide it's best to let her sit back for a bit and put some of the others to the test against Strange. Ryan starts us off with a clean KO against Ghastly with a bite. Then he gives way to Pete, who hits a Gust and shrugs off a Confusion with a Lumberry. A second Supersonic forces a switch back into Ryan, but he's too low of a level to deal with Bayleaf. Maybe Ryan's secret is he's a bit of a lazy procrastinator. On second thought, I can relate to that. Maybe that's normal after all. Pete gets poisoned but takes care of Bayleaf, and unfortunately I don't think I've learned anything conclusive here. But that should change shortly, because up ahead is the normal type gym leader Whitney, who's very bad at hiding the fact that she's kind of an idiot. First things first though, I have to change Duncan's name. Hopefully that calms her down a bit. From now on, she'll be known as Danielle. I know if I'm going to take on the Queen of Imposters, I'll need all the help I can get, so after hatching the egg I evolve Toby into a Togetic, then bring Sarah the Stantler into the mix. That means for now Ryan is going to have to wait in the PC, not that it bothers him, I mean he'd rather be doing anything else than working hard. The name change did nothing to calm Danielle's anger, as once again she forces her way to the front of the party. This time her rollouts are not 4x super effective, but that works out in her favor, as by the time she takes out Clefairy, she's on rollout number 4. Miltank tries to stop her in her tracks with a stomp, but Danielle doesn't flinch and one-shots her cow. Whitney, seeing the same carnage the previous two gym leaders experienced, cannot handle it and starts to cry. Danielle feels absolutely no remorse for her actions, and from now on, I think I'm going to need to keep her separated from the rest of the team in order to learn more about some of the others. West of Ecruteak, I'm able to get a few strong new test subjects who will be a nice buffer between Danielle and the rest of the group. Terry the Tauros and Molly the Miltank are both big and strong, and their presence immediately threatens Danielle's position as the alpha. As we prepare for the fight against Morty, Danielle takes her place in the PC and everyone else feels at ease immediately. Because of Molly's scrappy ability, she has the skills needed to take out Morty's ghosts by landing body slams onto the typically immune Ghastly and Haunter. Gengar's hypnosis is mitigated by a Lumberry, then thanks to a paralysis, Molly is able to body slam it into the dirt as well. All Morty manages to do is hit a weak sucker punch before his Haunter falls, and I've already learned quite a bit about Molly after just this one gym battle. She's clearly got a special ability. Being able to make physical contact with ghosts is far from normal behavior. She's a spirit medium who can physically interact with the dead. The group heads over to Olivine and finds the Ampharos in the lighthouse is sick, so in order to get some medicine, I have to have someone surface over to Cianwood. The only one that can learn surf is Terry, which I personally find to be pretty strange. I mean, when have you ever seen a bull that can surf?
Suspicious.
Before heading over to get the medicine, I know I'll have to take on the fighting type gym, and that might be a test too hard for anyone in the group. While I want to push them to their limits, it's a bit hard to learn anything from them if they all die. Thankfully, more of the region is open to me at this point, and I can head over to Route 43 and catch Jeff the Giraffarig, who is doing a pretty terrible job at hiding how weird he is. I mean, spelling Jeff like that? Red flag number 1. And that tail? And claiming to be a psychic? Well, at least Jeff is confidently himself and not trying to hide his true nature. Welcome aboard, buddy. Since he's not afraid to show his true colors, I decide to let Jeff handle things against Chuck and lead by example. A Psybeam leaves Primeape at 1 HP, but then he seems to get confused by Jeff's appearance and self-confidence, and hurts himself in confusion and takes himself out. A Psybeam also confuses Poliwrath, but he does manage to avoid the self-hit and lands a single body slam before also being taken down rather easily. Clean and efficient. Look what you can accomplish when you have self-confidence. Jeff is already leading by example. Let's hope everyone else can come out of their shell a little bit now that he's here and now that Danielle isn't around to terrorize everyone. Besides, who needs Danielle when you have Lance running around murdering people with his Dragonite? Seriously, man, what the fuck? Once we clear out the obscene amount of underleveled Team Rocket grunts, I can head over to the gym and take on Pryce. Because of my trip to the Lake of Rage, I started to miss Danielle's presence a bit. There's something about her uninhibited bloodlust that really moves me. She's not afraid to show her true colors, even if that color is mostly red due to the blood splatter of her long list of victims. Something Pryce's Pokemon are about to understand better than they would like to. Seal tries to take a nap, but Danielle makes sure that nap becomes permanent. Even with the lower accuracy as rollout continues, Danielle is too locked in to miss, and takes out both Piloswine and Dugong in one hit on the 4th and 5th turns of it. Once again, Danielle has made everyone uncomfortable, so I put her back into the PC and bring Ryan back onto the team. Now evolved into Eradicate, he seems to have overcome his laziness, primarily because he had to spend all that time locked in the PC with Danielle, and he realized he needed to do anything to get the fuck away from that lunatic. He's able to one-shot both of Jasmine's Magnemite with Dig, but that trick won't work against Steelix. Sarah and Toby work together to get off Intimidates from Sarah, then Encore Steelix into Screech. A bit risky lowering your own defense. Maybe Toby has a gambling problem. He puts Steelix to sleep, then Terry comes in and puts his whopping 40 base special attack to work with some surfs. Unfortunately, Jasmine uses 2 Hyper Potions, so now Steelix is awake and slamming Terry with Iron Tails, but neither of them get the crit and Terry gets out of there unscathed. While it may be a strange hobby for him to have, Terry's love for the sea really saved the day. If there's one organization in Johto that is unafraid of showing the world how weird they are, it's Team Rocket. They've taken over the radio tower and Goldenrod, but they're too weak to actually accomplish their mission. Petrel, Ariana, and Archer are all pushovers. I don't even know what they were trying to accomplish here. They're basically just cosplay villains, not actual villains. With those goons out of the picture, I can finally bring someone else into the group, but like Jeff, Larry the Lickitung is already comfortable in his own skin and isn't hiding it from the world. I mean, look at this freak. I don't kink shame, but I mean, would it kill you to put your tongue back in your mouth? You're making everyone uncomfortable.
I don't like that. Put your tongue back in your mouth.
While some of the Johto gym leaders have been able to push my supposed team of normies to the edge, none of them have really been able to quite get them out of their shells. If anyone can change that, it's Clair. I have Olivia lead the way against Gyarados, and while Intimidate is only supposed to lower her attack, clearly it gets into her head as she misses 2 Hypnosis in a row. Obviously, she's got severe anxiety, which is probably why she's afraid to let loose and just be her true self. She does manage to lock in and connect on her 3rd one, proving to me, and more importantly to herself, that she's a lot stronger than she lets herself think she is. Someone we all know is strong is Terry, whose strengths take out the sleeping sea monster. Another almost takes out the Dragonair in one hit, then Terry gets paralyzed. Looks like he won't be surfing for a while. This deeply upsets him, as it should, and he finds the strength to get revenge on the Dragonair. Clair then sends out the big guns, so I have Toby come in on a Hydro Pump. Armed with the sniper ability, Toby knows that if he gets crit, it's over for him, but that's a risk he's obviously willing to take. He has to dodge another crit in order for the plan to work, but like a true degenerate, he knows that the odds are in his favor and hangs on with 8 HP and gets off the yawn. A Protect on the next turn ensures that Kingdra will fall asleep, and he can heal himself back up with a Wish and another Protect just in case of an early wake up. The Seahorse stays asleep long enough for Toby to get off a Light Screen and another Wish, but when Larry comes in on the switch, he gets hit with a Smoke Screen as Kingdra wakes up. They then both whiff their next attacks. Larry because he can't see, and Kingdra because she can and doesn't like whatever the hell she's looking at. Kingdra is now spamming smoke screens instead of attacking, clearly thrown off her game by getting one look at Larry. This time when Larry comes back in, Kingdra is sound asleep, so he can knock off the Citrus Berry, then start hitting respectable damage with Dragon-type hidden powers. Kingdra wakes up and is horrified to once again see Larry in front of her, and tries to blast him off the face of the earth with a Hyper Beam, but fails to get the crit and goes down to another hidden power. Her last Dragonair stands no chance against Larry either. While he may be unpleasant to look at, on the inside is a heart of gold. The elders seem to agree, not just about Larry, but myself and the whole group. They see that what lies beneath the surface are a delightful group of weirdos who are all becoming more comfortable expressing themselves. With our self-confidence at an all-time high and everyone in the group learning to love themselves for who they are, we easily carve through the Kimono Girls Evolutions, Victory Road, and the final rival battle and make it to the Elite Four. For some reason, my party tracker started to glitch out and showed Jeff in my party twice, but clearly that isn't the case, so try to ignore it like how we all try to ignore how off-putting Larry is to look at. You may notice a new face, Andy the Ambipom. He's been quietly cheering along from the sidelines, supporting the team from afar. He's been too shy to join in on the action, so we're throwing him into the deep end. I decided to leave Danielle behind, as her violent nature would really disrupt the now wholesome vibe the group has going on. Jeff once again leads the way, showing everyone else how it's done and what you can accomplish when you truly accept yourself for who you really are. Choice Specs boosted Shadow Balls obliterate all of Will's Pokemon in one hit. Larry borrows those snazzy glasses from Jeff for the battle against Koga and flamethrowers his Ariados and Forretress, once again showing everyone what being confident in yourself can help you achieve. Jeff tags in to Psychic his way through the other 3 team members. Those two have led by example from the moment they joined the group. That doesn't stop with Bruno either, as Jeff once again sweeps through an entire team, this time with Choice Specs boosted Psychics. I knew it from the moment we met that he was special. It helps that he's now leveled up twice since the Elite Four started, and he's now at level 49, but technically my level cap rule starts once I enter the Elite Four, so he's fine the way he is. With Jeff and Larry, but mostly Jeff, showing everyone how it's done and leading by example, everyone else has gained the confidence needed to fight against the last 2 members of the Elite Four. I can't just leave it up to those 2 to defeat Karen or Lance, so let's hope everyone else is ready to shine. Umbreon starts off with the nonsense immediately with 2 double teams, but Toby locks in and puts it to sleep with a yawn and drops its attack with a charm. Terry then comes in, also completely unfazed, and lands a return. He does miss his second one as Umbreon wakes up and confuses him, so I bring Toby back in to put it back to sleep. Terry misses another return, but connects on the next one and takes down the Umbreon. Gengar comes in, and the only one that can handle its Focus Blast is Toby, who once again gambles with his own life on potential critical hits, and once again comes out on top. His gambling rubs off on Jeff, who came into the fight with only 2 Psychic PP left, and switches in knowing that a wake up and a critical hit would be the end of him. But like Toby explained, the odds are in his favor. Just take the chance. He does, and it pays off. Terry comes in on a pluck from Murkrow and takes it out with a return, which brings out Houndoom. Terry set aside his love for the ocean to learn Earthquake, knowing his friends would need his support. All that's left now is Vileplume. Jeff gets paralyzed on the switch-in and hit hard by a Petal Dance, then gets fully paralyzed. While he found Toby's gambling to be a bit thrilling, it's not who he is, and he doesn't want to push his luck here. Larry comes in and Vileplume immediately hurts herself in confusion upon seeing him. A few flamethrowers take it down, and now all that stands in the way of us and Kanto is that psychopath Lance. Toby has to roll the dice a few more times, but he lives for that shit. He needs to avoid being flinched, crit, or frozen by Ice Fang, and he manages to do just that and puts Gyarados to sleep. Now he needs to gamble that it stays asleep long enough for him to get off 3 charms. He gets off 2 and decides to roll the dice again by going for a wish, and not only does Gyarados stay asleep, but even stays asleep for a 4th turn, letting him get off that 3rd charm and heal back to full. Toby is truly on a heater. Gyarados is either waking up this turn or next turn, but I want to put it back to sleep, so I have Toby go for a protect, and it does in fact wake up. The reason this was necessary is now with its attack at -6, it will always go for a Dragon Pulse as it sees that as the most damage it can do. Thanks to Toby's hard work, Andy is now set up for success. He's been supporting all of us quietly, but seeing Toby boisterously supporting him as he comes in to make his video debut, he gains the confidence he needs to start supporting his new friends more directly. Andy is able to get off 2 agilities and 2 nasty plots while having the confidence of knowing he'll never have to deal with a potential flinch or status effect from Waterfall or Ice Fang. Then he does what he does best, supports his buds. A baton pass into Larry gives him the speed and strength that he needs to cut through the rest of Lance's squad like a hot knife through butter. I started this challenge with the intention of breaking through the normal exteriors of all these Pokemon in order to show that deep down everyone is a bit weird. But along the way they've all grown closer, and I think it's because they all feel comfortable being themselves around each other. Finding a group of people with common interests, or just some friends who won't judge you for who you are or what you like, will help anyone open up and be the best version of themselves that they can be. We should all learn to be more like my team of weirdos here. With the Elite Four defeated and our confidence at its peak, it's now time to run through Kanto. Admittedly, the gym leaders are pretty dull, but there's one that always provides a challenge. Olivia is back and better than ever, but her job is to trick Exeggutor into going for Trick Room as our new friend Scott comes in. Now Scott will outspeed and can max out his attack with a belly drum, and while Toby isn't here for the battle, he's here in spirit as Scott gambles with his life on a crit that he manages to avoid. Now he's a killing machine. A +6 body slam cuts down the tree and then slams Blue's biggest threat, his Machamp, into the dirt. Even with his sky-high defense and rock typing, Scott can pulverize Rhydon with a Giga Impact. Blue then does us a huge favor by using Roar on Scott on his recharge turn, which brings in Larry. He also decides to gamble with his life, and while it's a very close call, he hangs on and gets the KO. The problem is Larry was the answer to Gyarados, but now he's too weak to continue, so he asks another new friend for some assistance. Katie hits pretty hard with a fake out and a dizzy punch, then shrugs off a waterfall and takes out the Gyarados. She's too low to take care of Pidgeot, so she lets Terry handle it from here. From what I heard around the region, Blue used to have a rival, but no one has seen him for quite a while. I'm wondering if maybe he's isolated himself, ashamed of being who he really is. Maybe he needs a friend. Maybe I have to go find him and see if we can help. At the top of Mount Silver, he stands alone, silent in the snow. Maybe we can earn his respect with a battle. Terry earthquakes his Pikachu, then gives way to another new friend, Chelsea. Usually I would ban Blissey from my Nuzlocks, but we've all made it this far deathless, and I want to finish the job. We don't discriminate around here. Well, except Danielle, but she's in prison now. Don't ask. Scott takes out the wannabe dragon with a rock slide after a few flare blitzes and some hail damage take him into citrus berry range. Then Red sends in his own Snorlax. I think he's trying to connect with us. Maybe we're breaking through here. I don't really have a great answer for Snorlax, so I let the hail do some chip damage along with Katie's fake out. Molly can keep herself healthy by drinking her own milk, which is a bit weird, but we don't judge her for it anymore. We accept her for who she is. Who she currently is right now is frozen. Unfortunately, she doesn't thaw out, so I have to send in Terry on a blizzard, but ice is just frozen water, so he handles it well. Hail has finally done enough damage to Snorlax where a return can take it out. Chelsea gets poisoned by a sludge bomb on the switch in, but she's able to keep herself healthy with soft boiled and eventually takes down Venusaur with some ice beams and hail damage. His last Pokemon is Lapras, who paralyzes Katie with a body slam on the switch in but activates her citrus berry. That berry is the only reason Katie lives to see another day, because she gets taken to just 26 HP and gets fully paralyzed after a blizzard, so Scott is going to have to come to her rescue. Unfortunately, he also bit off more than he could chew, so he has to give way to Terry. He gets hit with a brine, but all it does is remind him of his love for the ocean. He hits one final return, and with that, Red is defeated. Maybe that intense battle will get him to open up, and he's disappeared. Oh well, some people just can't be saved.